Welcome back to ABC-7 Extra Sunday. I'm Mark Ross. One of the organizations that Workforce Solutions Borderplex partners with is Early Matters El Paso. And here to tell us more about the organization and what they're doing to improve early childhood experiences is Stephanie Otero. She's the Vice President of Operations with the El Paso Community Foundation. Stephanie, thank you for coming on tonight. First of all, how did Early Matters El Paso come together?
Sure. About 7 years ago, Early Matters Texas, which is a statewide coalition, came to us to see if we were interested in starting an Early Matters chapter here in El Paso. And it's really a way to bring civic, education, nonprofit, and philanthropic leaders together to address child care needs in a community.
How are you achieving that goal?
Sure. So we worked alongside Workforce Borderplex Solutions to identify what are needs, gaps, challenges in the region, and then we help support it. You heard from Odette that TRS rating is very important to ensure that every child in our region has access to high quality early childhood education. When we began our chapter, less than 20% of the child care centers in our region had the TRS rating. We worked alongside of them to now have more than 75% of our child care centers be TRS rated.
And TRS being Texas Rising Star.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you brought a couple of interesting graphics that we want to share with our audience. First of all, let's talk about investing as a community. For every $100 we invest, how is that divided up?
Sure. Despite research telling us that 90% of brain development happens before the age of 5, for every $100 invested in children in our region, only $5 goes to 5 and under, $95 goes into K-12. And not that K-12 isn't important, but we're missing an important opportunity to ensure that we're investing where that brain development is happening.
And you mentioned that child care costs more than in-state tuition?
Yes. Is that not incredible? And the problem is that parents don't have the same time to prepare for their child care as you can save 18 years for that college. And so child care is extremely expensive. And we are lucky that our local workforce board has worked hard to open these 2,000 spots for children. But there are still thousands of children who do not have access to affordable care and need assistance.
Talk about the relationship between child care and economic development. I mean, they're intertwined, more or less.
They are. It affects both today's workforce and tomorrow's workforce. The state loses an average of $9.4 billion a year related to child care issues. And if we don't ensure that every child has access to affordable, high-quality child care, the current workforce won't be what it needs to be, and then these children will not be kinder ready, which means they will not be ready for tomorrow's workforce.
So talk a little bit about how Early Matters El Paso and Workforce Solutions Borderplex team up here. I know you talked about Texas Rising Star, but there are some other things that you all do.
Yes, so we help team up on enrollment campaigns, making sure that parents know where they can go, how to get help. And so in addition to the workforce website, we have a website as well, earlymatterselpaso.net, that families can go, they can punch in their zip code, find where those TRS rated child care centers are. We also partner with Workforce to amplify the amount of professional development for our early child educators so that we ensure that high quality.
And there is a challenge when it comes to early childhood education. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, early childhood education is something that we haven't focused on. When people think of education, they think of it starting at kindergarten, really, and it really starts before that. And the gap that exists at kindergarten never goes away. Research is very clear on that. So if we don't ensure that 100% of the children in our community are kinder ready, they are not going to be as successful in K-12, which means they're not going to be as successful in post-secondary, which means we're not producing tomorrow's workforce.
All right. What are some of the other things that Early Matters El Paso is doing along with the early childhood development?
Really, we're trying to engage the business community. We launched a program called Best Place for Working Parents, which is a 5-minute survey that local employers can take to understand how they can better serve the families that work for them. There are a lot of net zero benefits that they can add that cost the business nothing, that can help make it easier for families to be in the workforce. We provide professional development, as I mentioned. We partner with Head Start, the local school districts, child care centers to identify gaps and then bring in technical assistance providers to help support those gaps so that we as a region collectively work toward our ultimate goal of every child in the region has access to affordable, high-quality education, that we have a sustainable business plan for child care workers where those workers are actually making living wage, because they're not. They average about $10 an hour, and that 100% of our kids are kinder ready.
Are you hearing from frustrated parents about, I have to decide whether I go to work today or I stay home with my child?
Absolutely. So if you look at the average median income for El Paso, it's around $58,000. Somebody on that income can only really afford to put one child into daycare, and at that, they would only be left with about $100 of disposable income. Once that second child comes, child care is unaffordable for that family. And so it's a real problem. And it's also a problem that we are a very high service industry region, so there is no evening childcare in our community. So those that are in hotel business, in the restaurant business, really struggle. And so there is a huge loss of productivity for our local businesses due to childcare issues.
And you talk about that not having nighttime child care. Is there anything that can be done to improve that situation?
Absolutely. We are already in conversations with the Workforce Board of how we can come together as a community to maybe create a child care center that focuses on those evening hours, train up the employees that would need to work there, and make sure, because it behooves us all in the community to invest in this, because we're really talking about our economic development in the region.
Stephanie Otero with the El Paso Community Foundation, thank you so much for coming on Extra Sunday.
Thank you.
And when we return, how Workforce Solutions Borderplex is working with El Paso's delegation to Austin to create legislation to improve child care programs. Stay with us. You're watching ABC-7 Extra Sunday.